Hello everybody, so I am popping in here to give you a quick little video, hopefully this is quick, about the Golden Globe nominations that are going to be tomorrow morning. Now, I'm just going to go through these categories very, very quickly. I didn't have time to make an actual full chart like I usually do for these things, so I'm going to just give you my predictions as they currently stand on the Award Expert app. So let's start with Best Picture Drama, where immediately I've already done something that's going to be a little bit controversial, but let me explain. So Sinners is in, Hamnet is in, Sentimental Value is in, and It Was Just an Accident is in. Those four feel very, very safe to me. Now, conventional logic would be to put Frankenstein at number 5, and the 6th slot should go to either Train Dreams or The Secret Agent. I was watching the video by Oscar Expert and Brother Bro, and they were talking about both of these two movies, how they both make a lot of sense for that 6th place slot. And I ultimately decided I'm going to hedge my bets and I'm going to have both of them in. And the movie that I'm going to have missing is Frankenstein. And I know, my last Oscar prediction video, I came down very hard on Frankenstein, but I have cooled on the idea of that being in Best Picture. I still think it's getting in at the Oscars. I just think of the movies that are considered safe bets, I think Frankenstein could potentially miss to make room for Train Dreams and Secret Agent. It's just one of those movies where it seems safe, but it still misses, and this does not impede its ability to get into Best Picture at the Oscars. Train Dreams and Secret Agent just both really fit the Globe's mentality. I could leave Secret Agent off, that's what I was going to, but I know that people in the Brazilian hive mind are going to come after me in the comments for that, and I really do think it can happen. But it was like, who's going to get upset the least if I leave out Secret Agent versus I leave out Frankenstein? And ultimately I left out Frankenstein. I don't actually know what's going to happen. I feel like I'm going to go 5 for 6 no matter what. But both Train Dreams and Secret Agent really, really feel like Globe contenders. So I felt I had to include both of them. Best Picture Comedy Musical. Now, this is one where 5 of the 6 slots feel pretty secure. One Battle, Marty Supreme, Jay Kelly, Begonia, and No Other Choice. Those all feel very much aligned with the Golden Globes taste. But the last slot, I decided to take out Wicked, which is maybe a bit... I don't know. I didn't even mention in the drama video that I took out Avatar because its underperformance at Critics' Choice really made me think the Globes are not going to jive with it at all. And now Wicked technically did get into Best Picture at the Critics' Choice, but it missed in some pretty key places, including Best Actress and Best Sound. And that was the same guild that last year they gave the first movie John M. Chu one director. So for Wicked to have such a serious drop-off point where it's missing categories like Actress and Sound is a really, really big deal. And while it's not completely out of the question that it can get into Best Picture at the Globes, I do think it's out of the conversation for Best Picture at the Oscars, and it's real close because I have Testament of Ann Lee in, which admittedly has not been doing great either. That only got 2 nominations at the Critics' Choice, and it hasn't been showing up in a ton of places, but I think the Globes could potentially revive it. I've sort of been comparing that movie to I'm comparing that movie to Nickel Boys a lot, and the Globes is the one big place where they nominated Nickel Boys last year, and that got us attention that maybe this could happen after all. So I do have Ann Lee in that place. I would love to believe in a world where K-pop Demon Hunters could get that 6th slot, but Golden Globe voters forget they can nominate animated movies. And it is sad, the past couple years, the comedy lineups have been more crowded than the drama lineups, which maybe it's just because we like lighter movies now, but for whatever reason, movies that are pure comedies, like Wake Up Dead Man, for example, are going to struggle to get in here. Best Director, this is the top 6 that I have at the Oscars: Anderson, Coogler, Zhao, Panahi, Safdie, and Trier. I don't know which of those 6 is missing for the Oscar, but it's definitely one of those top 6. I don't see anyone else potentially making it in. Maybe Del Toro. You could argue someone like Park Chan-wook, but I just don't think the Globes are going to do that. Best Actress in a Drama. This is a really, really tough category because Buckley and Reinsve are in. Thompson not getting at the Oscars, but makes sense as a Globe nominee. And then everything else, I don't know. I really don't know. And Lawrence, okay, she makes sense. Julia Roberts, I know that movie is dead, but sort of a Hugh Jackman in The Sun, Kate Winslet in Labor Day. This does make sense as the sort of thing that gets nominated at Globes just because of the lack of options, even though it's a dead Oscar contender. And then that last slot, I thought of so many different people. There are people like Jodie Foster in A Private Life, who that movie just seems dead. Lucy Liu in Rosemead. Does anybody know what that movie is? What was the other? Sydney Sweeney in Chrissy, but Sweeney just keeps putting her foot in her mouth and she's not getting nominated for anything. I came this close to having Julia Garner for Weapons in, because at the very least people know what that movie is, unlike a lot of the other contenders. But due to the nature of that movie's segmented structure, she's not in that much of the film, and so I can't imagine they actually go for her. And I ultimately decided to put in Eva Victor in Sorry Baby, which does feel weird because that movie is a comedy, and it's so weird that it's here in drama, but maybe they're just going to go for her because of a lack of options. I'm just crossing my fingers that it happens. I love that movie. I love that performance. It got into Critics' Choice Screenplay, so maybe there's just enough visibility there to get her into Best Actress. Actress in a comedy, this feels a lot more secure. Byrne, Seyfried, Infinity, and Stone all contending for the Oscar. Erivo, I no longer have her in my top 5 for the Oscar, but I can't imagine her missing this lineup due to the competition. And then Jennifer Hudson is sort of... Jennifer Hudson? Kate Hudson. I'm going to leave that in. Because Kate Hudson is really the only person that makes sense. June Squibb, Dakota Johnson, they just feel dead. So I think Hudson will get that 6th place slot. Best Actor in a Drama. It's funny how both of the lead acting categories have really condensed the number of contenders and we're sort of struggling to fill in spaces. Jordan, Mora, and Edgerton are both in actual conversation for the Oscar. Dwayne Johnson and Jeremy Allen White were in conversation for the Oscar at one point in time, and it makes sense to have them in. And then that last slot, I'm going to give it to Daniel Day-Lewis, even though I know that movie seems pretty much dead, but I think there's just enough support for Day-Lewis as an actor that it can get in. I mean, I considered some other names, most notably Oscar Isaac and Frankenstein. Maybe that could happen, but it's close. It's close. No matter what you do, it's close. And Day-Lewis is just the person who makes the most sense to me. For Best Actor in a Comedy, I have Chalamet, DiCaprio, Hawke, Clooney, Plemons, Byung-hun. This seems like a very, very locked top 6. I can't imagine anyone else cracking it. I mean, Daniel Craig got in for the last 2 movies, but Wake Up Dead Man just feels so dead. It didn't get anything at Critics' Choice. And so I think people are just tired of this franchise. This top 6 makes a lot of sense to me. Even though Brendan Fraser in Rental Family, I guess, is number 7. It's kind of funny, again, because comedy musical has gotten so much more crowded. In the older days, you would consider somebody like Channing Tatum in Roofman, or even David Cornsweet in Superman. But again, these are all people that are in contention one way or the other for the Oscar. And drama is the category where you've really got to stretch to find people. It's so crazy how the tables have turned. Best Supporting Actress. Okay, I'm taking a bit of a leap here too. I have Taylor, Grande, Fanning, Lilius, and then it gets tricky, and I decided to put in Paltrow and Mosaku. Now, ever since I saw Weapons, I've been thinking to myself, Amy Madigan, she's going to get in at Critics' Choice and nowhere else. So this is really the big test. Can she get in at Golden Globe? She could. The thing that I've just struggled with about that performance is the way that people talk about her reminds me so much of the way they talked about Jared Leto in House of Gucci, where everyone's like, oh, it's such a memorable performance. It's a makeup transformation. It's so big and over the top, and you're not going to forget that performance. She really stands out. And I hate to say this, but there is a difference between memorable and good. And I think Amy Madigan in Weapons is memorable. I'll leave it at that. I don't think she should get nominated for it. But the sad thing is, there is a lack of contenders in supporting actress this year, and Madigan could get in just based off of that alone. But I do think there is room. Gwyneth Paltrow, I think, can just sneak in there. And Wunmi Mosaku for Sinners has been getting so much love recently, a lot more love than I anticipated. She won the Gotham. I did not see that coming at all. And so I do think Mosaku, it'll be tough, but I think she can get in at the Globes, just barely over Amy Madigan. Although one person I'm not mentioning here is Nina Hoss for Tar. I'm seeing a surprising amount of mentions for her, and she'd be a cool Globe nomination too. Supporting actor. This is another category where there's a very, very solid top 6, and I'm going to have a difficult time taking one of these guys off when I eventually predict the Oscar nominations. But Penn, Skarsgård, Mescal, Del Toro, Sandler, and Elordi. It is absolutely insane how Del Toro has risen in the ranks in supporting actor because he has won an alarming amount of critics' precursors in this category. Which is weird because Sean Penn is doing so much more in the same movie. So I don't know why people are going for Del Toro, why people want him to win. I mean, I guess it would be kind of like Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere. But at least with that movie, there was a career narrative and she'd never won before. Del Toro has won before. So it would just be weird that people are going for that performance when Penn is right there. But yeah, he makes sense to be nominated. I still think the win is going to come down to Penn or Skarsgård, and I had Penn for a long time, but seeing people de facto to Del Toro has me curious, and I'm thinking maybe Skarsgård could pull it off. Screenplay, pretty solid top 6 here. Again, One Battle, Sinners, Sentimental Value, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and It Was Just an Accident. Would be really, really surprised to see any of these miss. Score. We have One Battle, Sinners, Hamnet, Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, and Jay Kelly. I did consider putting Begonia in here, but that missed Critics' Choice, so I'm not super confident about that. I think this top 6 makes a lot of sense, although F1 could also potentially happen. It'd be interesting to see if F1 could get in anywhere at the Globes. It could get in here for Best Song. Golden, I Lied to You, Girl in the Bubble, Train Dreams, Clothed by the Sun, and Dream as One. Okay, so one thing I didn't have time to say is that ever since seeing Train Dreams, I'm pretty confident that that song is getting in. I'm pretty confident that only one Wicked song is getting in, Girl in the Bubble. Clothed by the Sun, I'm a little bit unsure about. It is based on actual lyrics from a hymn, but I think it can get into the Globes. And then Dream is One, no chance in it getting into the Oscars, but it's Miley Cyrus, and they like their celebrities. I almost had a Shakira song from Zootopia 2, and that could very easily happen as well. Animated movie. Speaking of Zootopia, I have that in as well as K-pop, Arco, Little Amelie, Elio, and In Your Dreams. I think this is going to be the exact same top 6 as Critics' Choice. I think Elio and In Your Dreams are both competing for that 5th slot at the Oscars. I guess we could see something surprising happen, like a Scarlet, a Neja 2, maybe a Demon Slayer, but I just feel like voters need to be familiar with that franchise in order to vote for the movie, and so I don't see that happening. International, I have basically the same lineup, plus Sentimental Value. I have It Was Just an Accident, Secret Agent, No Other Choice, Surat, a lot of strong notices for that film, even though I don't think it's going to get an Oscar, and Belen. What is happening with Belen? I haven't heard anybody talk about in terms of is it actually good, but Amazon is launching a very, very hard campaign. It got in at Astra, it got in at Critics' Choice, and so I could see them making that same appeal to the Golden Globes. And last and least category is box office. This is just the dumbest category. I have no idea. I mean, the thing is, I do know what to do here, but the rules for this category are so weird. For example, Neja 2 is not eligible to be nominated here because it didn't make enough money in the US and it has to make at least 100 million domestic. Avatar, I had assumed that Avatar would not be eligible for this category because it hasn't come out yet and it hasn't made any money. But apparently, they do factor in the projected box office total for a movie. Yeah, this is a category where we're rewarding movies for making money, and this movie is going to get nominated for hypothetical money that it has not made yet. And just to make it even more insane, K-pop Demon Hunters, I thought for sure that wouldn't be eligible, but apparently movies that have high enough streaming numbers can be nominated too. I have no idea. I was going to have Minecraft in. Maybe that gets in, maybe it doesn't. Who even cares with the box office category? It's a dumb category. And my throat is getting parched, so I'm going to leave it at that. My live reaction to the nominations should be coming tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.